appreciate it if you would assist.
Perhaps you should ask him. I imagine he has a greater interest in getting there than I do.
I suppose he does. But there's no point in asking.
Why not?
Because he doesn't row.
He doesn't row?
No, he doesn't row.
Ah, I see what you mean.
What's up, everyone? It's Alvarado here with Level Cap Interactive. And if you're watching this, then you know what to expect. This is my Bioshock Infinite review. When the first Bioshock was released back in 2007, gamers weren't prepared for what was being presented to them. It was an immersive world to explore, the likes of which had never been seen before. Sadly, the same couldn't be said about its predecessor. Bioshock 2 just couldn't recreate the same feeling of wonder that the original had done so well. Luckily, the same mistake wasn't repeated, and in short, Bioshock Infinite is amazing. The story in Infinite is one that I can talk little about, with the main plot points being that you play as Booker DeWitt, a man on a mission to retrieve a girl named Elizabeth in order to wipe away his debt, and that the story takes place in a floating metropolis named Columbia.
Where am I?
Heaven, friend. Or as close as we'll see till Judgment Day.
Saying any more about the actual story would ruin the pure experience of seeing it played out for yourself. This is truly one for the ages and should be experienced by any fan of a great story. When this game loads up and you're taken to the main menu, it's made quite clear that there is much more to learn about the strange setting of Columbia. As you cycle through the menu items, signs go through a morphing phase and makes it quite apparent that there is something a lot deeper to the transition other than it being a good looking effect. And as with most of the game, what's on the surface is sometimes not truly as it appears. The visuals are great and everything looks amazing, from a safe distance that is. This statement is made more apparent when played on the console versions of the game, where getting up close to the background objects makes the textures look pretty bad, whereas the PC version of the title doesn't suffer from this problem. But again, the visuals are still beautiful across the board. And if you must know if there's a distinct difference between the 360 and PS3 versions, the PS3 has a slight edge over the 360 in this department. The other things to note about Infinite is its ramped up level of graphic violence over the previous entries. The violence portrayed in this game is no different than that of the previous games, but what was done differently was the level of detail put into the deaths of NPCs, namely Booker's melee kills, where he'll sometimes wrap his skyhook around an enemy's neck and either snap his neck or run the skyhook and decapitate the character altogether, resulting in a shower of blood. It's pretty intense. Especially with them being shown up close. And besides the console's up-close texture issues, the visuals are constantly beautiful throughout. Just don't get too close. In today's mass market of first-person shooters, it's still surprising that some companies can still totally blow the controls. Luckily, 2K has gone back to what they did with the original Bioshock and further perfected it. But what had me intrigued the most while waiting for this title to release was combat controls while riding the skyline. I knew that if it hadn't been done right, the entire experience would have suffered for it. And after jumping on my first skyline and running the extremely brief tutorial, I was on my way and loving every second of it. Combat on the skylines is fast, fun, and extremely easier than I anticipated it to be. Everything from shooting enemies to mailing them off of their line is nothing but satisfying. It all works the way it should, and thanks to 2K, the bar has been raised in how an FPS can still be innovative and fun by doing something new. There's no surprise that the audio in Infinite is superb, but the real standout is in the voice acting. The way Booker bonds with Elizabeth through the story and both characters' reactions to the environments around them is what really helps to draw you into the story and care about these two characters and their struggle to survive. The weapons also have a much heavier sound than the previous games, and they really have a life of their own when the sound of the weapons match the devastating effect they have on the enemies. The sound of a loud and hard crashing thud from a shotgun is only half sold until the enemy in front of it is blown clear off the ground and back a few feet. There isn't one weapon in this game that doesn't deserve your attention, and they are all useful and just as fun to use as the last. With there being a number of shooters on a yearly cycle, Bioshock Infinite comes into the foray guns ablaze and sets the industry on fire. The fresh story and well-told plot twists, along with the tight controls and stunning visuals, make this a must-have for any gamer's library. Although this game is not on par with the original Bioshock in terms of giving the player the creeps, there is one very well-executed scare that comes out of nowhere and caught me completely off guard, where the only thing I could do was laugh at myself for how badly I reacted to this very surprising scare. Everything in this game bleeds and screams the commitment of the people over at 2K who put their hearts into this title. And to note that there is no multiplayer in this game, I give kudos to the devs for not feeling obligated to follow the industry standard to place a multiplayer component in every AAA title. It wasn't needed here, and thankfully for that, this game gets what it truly deserves.
Are you alright?
A 5 out of 5.
Where am I?
Back in the land of the living. Here, let me.